Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for mentioning my rowing. That's very nice. I tell you, in the last couple of days, I was out rowing on the mighty Yarkon River of Tel Aviv. That's where I row, mighty river, and a rowboat came into me on the side, and I tipped over into this river. So the fact that this river is not known for its purity, I wanted to tell you, and the fact that I'm actually here tonight is something of a miracle. I have survived the Yarkon. You have survived much more, believe me. So, Stephen, thank you very much, and thank you to Avital Mezal, and Amichai Mazal. Everyone's here. It's like mishpacha. The whole thing is here. This is the nephew and grandchildren of the great Benjamin Mazar, one of Israel's greatest archaeologists. To Gerald Fleury, the chairman of the Armstrong International Cultural Foundation. To all of you who are following us in Edmond, Oklahoma, shalom, shalom from Jerusalem. Okay, I'm going to begin with a confession. I am a frustrated archaeologist. My major in college was Middle Eastern history, and one day somewhere in my sophomore year, I went into my advisor and I said, okay, I want to change my major to archaeology. True story. He says, you want to be an archaeologist? I said, yes. You understand, to be an archaeologist, you need a great attention for detail. You do not know where your wallet is, much less your keys. Okay. You have to be very proficient in languages. You're struggling with Hebrew. Okay. You need persistence. You need attention. You don't have any of these qualities. If I were you, I would stay with Middle Eastern studies. Hence, you're there and I'm up here. Right? Hence. But that doesn't mean that my frustration and my fascination with archaeology ended there. It didn't. I'm one of these people who read every single article about archaeological revelations, discoveries in this country. I'm desperate to find what the next great discovery is going to be. And I follow it. And I follow it very, very closely. I follow it because it's also an important part of my job. Archaeology everywhere is a source of controversy. It's not just here. I follow the archaeological controversies in North America between Native Americans and what to do with artifacts and what to do with various skeletons and what those skeletons mean. They're always sources of controversy around the world. But here in the Middle East, here in the city of Jerusalem, archaeology plays a very special role. It played a very special role in the Zionist movement, in reestablishing our rootedness to this country. Not only were we coming back here physically, but showing that the Jewish people here were not interlopers. We weren't migrants. We weren't, as some of our Arab enemies said, we weren't the survivors of the Holocaust, whom Europe dumped here because they didn't want to reintegrate us into Europe. By the way, this was spoken as recently as about a month ago by Abu Mazen, the president of the Palestinian Authority, said precisely that. So it's not that these are long-standing or in any way defunct myths. They're out there very much today. By digging down into the earth of our Holy Land and finding our ancestors in there, and the remnants of our families, we established our rootedness here and showed that we are not interlopers. We are, in fact, an indigenous people here, and in fact, the original indigenous people here. For Jerusalem especially, the connection to archaeology is absolutely germane. It is fundamental. And again, it's not just Arabs or Palestinians who will say that the first temple never existed, the second temple never existed, there never was a 3,000-year-long Jewish connection to this land. UNESCO of the United Nations has voted repeatedly denying the Jewish connection to Jerusalem. It's extraordinary. And the assault on the Jewish connection to Jerusalem is not just rhetorical, it's actually physical. And just over a decade ago, when the Muslim authorities on the Temple Mount, the Waqf, decided to implement a major renovation of what was known as Solomon's Stables under the mosque, under the Temple Mount, and destroy countless relics and remnants of the first and second temple and dump them into the valleys outside of Jerusalem without any thought to the immense historical and emotional and spiritual connection there. So it's not just a rhetorical assault on our connection to Jerusalem, it's also a physical distortion. In the middle of all this arises a hero, and not just any hero, but a personal hero of mine, Eilat Mazar. As you know, I came here just tonight to give the 7-meter speech from Tel Aviv because I so much respect you, so much revere you, and so much appreciate everything you've done for archaeology and so much you've done for our nation. And it was a lot who stood up not only to the naysayers in the Arab world and naysayers in UNESCO. She also stand up to no small amount of naysayers within her own field, including not a few within this country. I say this not with a great pride. People who said that there was no King Solomon, there was no King David, that the stories of the Bible were precisely that, a collection of fairy tales made up by later generations. And a lot said no. A lot said no. I'm going to dig down, and I'm going to prove. I'm going to find the remnants of our ancient civilization and prove that these weren't fairy tales, that the Bible is not myth, that the Bible is history. The Bible is history. And now, as a result, Lot finds these magnificent, magnificent seals. Hezekiah and Isaiah, these are immensely important scientific finds, but they are no less significant, and I say this as a representative of Israel's government and people, they're no less significant for our validity, our legitimacy, and even our security. A special connection here with those who are watching in Edmond, Oklahoma. As an ambassador from Israel to the United States, I was reminded on a daily basis that among the great pillars of the U.S.-Israel relationship, along with our strategic alliance, our shared democratic values, is a deep and abiding spiritual tie. Americans are the most religiously observant peoples of any industrialized nation in the world. More people read the Bible in the United States than in any other industrialized nation. They read that Bible, they believe the Bible, and here we come with evidence of that Bible. The Bible is not myth, that it's real. And that these seals, beside the scientific contribution, beside the great contribution that it makes to our legitimacy and validity, once again reinforces these historic and unbreakable spiritual ties between Israel and the Jewish state. Archaeology is not just about revealing the past. Archaeology is about securing our present. Archaeology is about ensuring our future. Archaeology is about richness, it's about rootedness, and as Elat Mazar will tell you, it's about truth. It's about truth. Toda rabba lachem, v'mazal tov. Mazal tov.